It started in 1971 when I had a debate in New York with a guy who was then considered a leading economist in the United States, Abba Lerner, professor at Queens College. Now, what had happened is I had forecast what was going to happen in terms of the economy. And it happened in '71. When it happened, I said, problem here is the community of economists, especially those teaching universities, are a bunch of quackademics, because they all said this could never happen, and it just happened. And I knew it was going to happen, and I said it was going to happen, and it happened. I challenged them to prove they're not quackademics. So we had quite a campaign going around New York and elsewhere about would these economics professors prove that they were not quackademics. So this was the end of August. So in September, they decided they were going to have a debate with me at Queens College. They had this fellow Abba Lerner, who was considered the dean of the Keynesian economists of the world at that time, who was going to debate me. So I had already criticized him on the issue of his policy for Brazil. So I made, in the debate, I made the Brazil case the exemplification of the issue between me and economists such as liberal Keynesian types. And I said that the policies that he was advocating for Brazil were those of Hitler's economist, Hjalmar Schacht. Now, he tried to change the subject and dodge and weave and bob and weave and so forth, all these kinds of nice things for a long time. We had there in front of the front row, we had professors from various universities and dignitaries and so forth who were all ready to see the bullfight, you know, that sort of thing. And it went on until at one point Lerner said, but you're wrong. If the social democracy had accepted Schacht's policy, Hitler would not have been necessary. And I quote it precisely, Hitler would not have been necessary. A hush spread over the audience. A ripple spread through the institutions of society. And Sidney Hook, the head of the Congress for Cultural Freedom, a Marxist, a former avowed communist and fascist and everything of the sort. It was a real mixture himself. And a curmudgeon and also other things. But he said, your man has shown himself a credible contender. He's going to pay a price for it. He is never going to be allowed to debate any important figure again. So, as a result of that, there was a campaign to have me assassinated, which was organized through a part of the FBI. And this thing went off and on over years. And then one day, they discovered that I had somehow talked Ronald Reagan into, among the other things I'd done, which did not please them, I had talked Ronald Reagan into considering a strategic defense initiative policy as a negotiating point with the Soviet Union. Reagan, for reasons not recognized by some foolish people in this country, liked the idea because he had always been against the use of nuclear terror, nuclear weapons as a weapon of terror for negotiating among states. So he took my proposal to his advisors, scientific advisors, and they said, yes, what I said was quite feasible. So he was committed to it. Now, so on his behalf, I conducted a negotiation with the Soviet government in 1982-83, a back-channel discussion, to present to them in advance a feeling-out discussion on this issue and whatever else they wanted to throw across the fence. And that led to various things, which in February of '82, where I told the Soviet government that they had a short lifespan, 5 years or so, if they continued with their present policy. I told him that if Reagan proposed this thing, which I thought he might, as I had laid it out, then he turned it down. They would be on the way to collapse the Soviet Union within about 5 years. And then Reagan did propose it. Not only did he propose it in a 5-minute segment at the close of a international webcast he gave, but he included very carefully the precise language which I had given to the Soviet representative. So there was no question in the minds of the Soviet government that that Reagan was confirming exactly my formulation of policy, and it was my policy that he was telling the Soviet government he was pushing. Well, that immediately resulted in setting into motion a plan to kill me, or in the alternative, imprison me. The only reason they moved to put me in prison was because some of the Reagan people and others said, don't kill him. And the thing was out that if I had beaten the last attempt to imprison me, I would be killed automatically by the government. There was already in 1986, in October of 86, just a few days before the summit meeting in Reykjavik, 400 people, armed people, were around the premises involving me in Virginia. And a special large team of this with heavy equipment was moving in at that night to eliminate me and anybody who happened to be in the same premises with me. So it was quite serious.